Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. Today is Monday, May 15th. Markets are off to a barely green start, up about 70 cents from yesterday's close, 60 cents now and dropping. So, a measly 0.15%. We were up more significantly right before the New York Fed Manufacturing Index came in much worse than expected, with the results out at negative 31.8 versus negative 3.7 expected. And this is a sharp decline from April's New York Fed Manufacturing Index, which was positive 10.8. So this is giving me real kind of a University of Michigan type of vibes, to where, it's not really that significant of a report, but it's just so horrible to look at that it's hard to be bullish in this market. We didn't get any updates for the debt limit besides a new date that they're going to be talking on, which is going to be tomorrow. We'll see if that actually happens or not. It just seems to be getting pushed back again and again, time after time, right up until the deadline, which is June 1st. Happy Monday. Good morning, Peter. What's the best way to get level 2 options? Level 2 options you should get approved for with most brokers. You shouldn't have to really jump through many hoops. You could try out different brokers. Some are a little bit more lenient. I know Robinhood is a little bit more lenient. I have level 3 on every account that I have besides Fidelity. They didn't approve me for level 3, but just make sure to fill out the questionnaire correctly. You want to make sure that you say you're speculative, quote unquote. That's one of the main things to get approved for options trading. But right now, SPY's trading at 412. I'm assuming we're going to be bearish today. Again, very similar to the University of Michigan report. So let's make a trade on this. I'm thinking about doing a call credit spread, similar to the trade that I made on Friday with the UMich report. Right now, that trade is paying 28 cents a piece. It's not the best in terms of risk reward, especially with this trading at 412. If we do end up going up at all today, somehow recovering, that would put me in a little precarious situation, since we do have the resistance right above us at 413. Looks like 41 and 64. That was Friday's open and Friday's high. So I'm going to wait until this is paying a little bit more than $30 a piece. Definitely starting off bearish. We're at 30 for the RSI. So puts are looking decent. But of course you want to get those at a good price. The lowest price that these went was 79. Now they're trading for 93. So you're paying about 15 cents more versus the low for this first 5-minute candle here. All right, let's open SPY up. 412 strike price is what I'm looking for. These are already going for 1. And those put credits, or the call credit spreads I was looking at, are actually dropping right now to 26 a piece. I think the best we can get for them is like 28 or 29, but it's kind of a low credit. Yeah, first 5-minute candle, definitely bearish here. So it would have been good to jump in on that right away. We're back down to break even for SPY, now only up by 0.04%. QQQ is still up a little bit more, 0.08%, but let's see, Friday's open was 326.70 Friday's high was 327.17. Looks like the close was 325.03, and the low for yesterday was 322.94. Not sure if we'll get back down to the lows that we saw Friday. I think that it's possible with this New York Fed manufacturing report. Probable, not so much, but might be a trade that I'd be willing to put a little bit of money down, assuming that we'll be under 322.94 by the end of today. And the QQQ puts are getting a little bit cheaper now that it's coming back up slightly. They're going to be cheaper than what you're getting for the SPY puts at the moment, since SPY is back down at break even. Whereas QQQ is up 0.1% as of right now. But probably look for the 326 or 327 puts. Right now they're going for 125 for the 326 strike. I think I'm overpaying a little bit for them. Let's see. They're going for 125 a piece. I'd imagine that they would probably go for about 115 at the cheapest, but let's check in on them. They're at 126 right now, and the cheapest that they got was 106. All right. This will be a scalp trade that I put on. Looking, oops. To buy QQQ 326 puts. They're getting cheap now. Looks like SPY might be reversing here. Back to barely positive. QQQ up 0.15%. We're trading at 40 RSI, so that's bearish there. These contracts still aren't the cheapest that they were. They're a little bit off the bottom at 106. Right now at 119 a piece. So I think I'll open them here and then set my stop loss just below us at about maybe 105 or so. All right. They're going for 115, 117, 118. All right. I'll try it at 119. Don't think I'll get filled there. Nope, waited a little bit too long for that trade. SPY is just right at break even right now too. And right now these contracts are flipping between, let's see, about a 110 and about 130 right now. So right now you're paying towards the upper end of the range for these 326 puts. But it does look like we do want to sell off a little bit more right below the close of the first 5-minute candle. I'm getting off to a slow start today as usual. Even though it's a Monday, you would expect a little bit more volatility. Do I sell naked or cash secure puts? No, I do not. Not a huge fan of those strategies just because they require a lot of capital, which I don't prefer using a lot of capital in this market just because it swings back and forth so quickly. All right, looks like we're headed lower for SPY, and QQQ just went negative. Looking like we're bearish on RSI at 25. So again, very similar day to what we saw, I think, on Friday. Maybe we go down to 322.94. I'm looking at the 326 puts, which are going for 145. I probably wouldn't spend a lot on them. I wanted to buy 10 and scalp, but don't think we'll be able to pull that off today. So I'll just buy a couple of these instead of the whole lot that I was looking at. For some reason, it doesn't want to edit my order. All right. They're going for about 140 a piece right now. So very expensive compared to what they were, obviously. But my assumption momentum is going to continue down after the bad report this morning. So I bought 3 of them at 142. Bought 3 at 142. I think so long as we're bearish, don't really have to worry about this trade. So watching below 50 for the RSI today. Right now they're going for 126, so obviously could have waited to get them a little bit of a cheaper price. But my assumption, we could be trading closer to Friday's lows, which was 323, which would put these contracts at about $2.50, $3 each, depending on how close we end up getting to those lows from Friday. Right now, SPY is breaking even, QQQ just up barely. Both of them trending in bearish territory for RSI. QQQ at 42, SPY on the other hand at about 30 right now. So SPY's more bearish at the moment than what we're seeing for QQQ. Yeah, speculative and years of trading experience definitely help when you're filling out the application to get approved for higher level options. All right, these puts are going back for 120. All right, so I got the 326. So the markets are assuming that Qs is going to stay above 324.80 at the moment. I think I'll buy a couple more to add to this position. Let's see, they're trading at 121 right now. The lowest that they got was down to 108, 110-ish. All right. I'll get them at 115. Hopefully. Yeah, there we go. Two more at 115. Bought two more at 115. So now I have a total of 5 of them. That brought my average cost down to, let's see, 131. The highest that these contracts went was 141 whenever we were dropping down to 325. So if we do see the pullback again here, which I think is pretty likely given SPY's just break even right now after the bad New York Fed manufacturing index, I think this will pull back. Should make some profits here. Yeah, SPY is definitely more bearish right now than what we're seeing for QQQ though, which has been pretty typical, it seems like recently, just because, Apple, Microsoft, all the big names continue to rally, regardless of what you're seeing for the other industries like banks. And let's see, Staples even down, like Coca-Cola down 0.25%. So those getting weighed down a little bit more heavily than your top heavy NASDAQ right now. Microsoft currently up 0.2%. Apple currently up by 0.06%. Let's see, Tesla currently up 0.8%. Actually a pretty sizable move considering everything else. But they did slide a lot on Friday. Let's see what else. Nvidia currently up by 0.38%. Not really much. So all the big tech names not really moving too much, but enough in order to keep QQQ in the positive for right now. All right, looks like we went back to the pre-market levels and then pulled right back off of that level for right now. Currently trading at 325.36. And the last time we went down to 325, these were going for 145 a pop. So that would be profitable if we get back to that bottom end of the range. For me, still thinking we could be closer to 323. But I'd probably cut the trade short at like 324.50 or 324. Good morning, Guile. Yeah, definitely wish I had went heavier. Closer to the bottom at 115 for these contracts. But I'm glad that it did double down closer to the bottom than adding in probably more right here at 125 wouldn't have been too reasonable. But now the contracts are back to break even. A little bit less at the moment as we approach the bottom end of the range again. Hopefully we don't get caught in this range, but that would be pretty typical for QQQ. If we do trade in a what, like 50 cent range that would be. Now it's about 80 cent range for a good hour or so. Seems to happen more often these days than not. So we'll keep watching. Right now, 325.20. So coming down to the bottom of the range, but no certain breakthrough yet. There's a lot of volume pumping into this, though. Hello from Switzerland. Welcome. All right, looks like SPY is having trouble holding above yesterday's close at 411.59. So yeah, that's definitely looking bearish right now at 20 for the RSI. So very, very weak. And QQQ managing to slip a little bit, but not nearly as bearish as what you're seeing for SPY yet. 37 for RSI. All right, my contracts are going for 140 a pop now. Here we go, testing the bottom of the range right now, just below 324 and going barely red at negative 0.03%. But managing to hold the line for right now. All right, there's the breakthrough. Now we're down to 32 for RSI, so we're almost going oversold here. Now my contracts are up about 20%. So far, a nice little $100 profit. They're trading for $150 each. I might have to discount what I want for them. I was thinking about closing them for, let's see, 326 minus a 323 level would actually be 300. If it does manage to go all the way down, thinking probably somewhere in the middle, though, meaning somewhere in the middle at 324. And probably even giving that a little bit of a discount, selling these for 180. Right now they're going for 152. So a little bit more that these contracts can gain based on my estimates for what they're worth today. All right, they're going for 170 now. So almost about $200 profit so far. I opened 5 of them, so I'll close 5, obviously. And the highest that these contracts just went was 165. The bid ask on them is kind of wide. 160 and 164 right now. Since they're somewhat deep in the money, $2 almost. It does make the bid ask a little bit wider if you're trading at the money. So if I was trading like the 325 put instead of the 326, you only get like a 1-2 cent bid ask. But with this, like $1 in the money it's usually like a 3 or 4 cent bid ask spread, which is what's going on right now. 154 and 157. SPY's not really moving much at 411 right now. Having a little bit of trouble with that price level going below it. Low on QQQ was 324.60. So we'll see if we retest that range again. What's the goal today? Make some money with these QQQ puts. My goal is to sell them for 180 a piece, but I don't think that I'll be able to get out in a reasonable time if I want that much for the contracts. But 180, these would be 50 a piece, $50 of profit each for about 250. All right. Going for 162, close to the bottom again. For the range, SPY's down 0.2% now, down to 410.85, so it ended up losing that 411 mark. Headed lower, very bearish RSI at 15. So hopefully we get something similar for QQQ. Right now it's trading at 31 for RSI, so not quite as weak as SPY is right now. All right, these contracts are going for 165, about $180 of profit. So that's where I start thinking about taking them. 165 would be nice if I can get it. Which would be 35 times 5, 175 in profit. So I am selling myself a little bit short as to the 180 that I'm wanting for them, but much greater chance of getting filled at 165. There we go. Just got filled there. Sold at 165. So 5 times 35, again, that's 175 profit for that trade. Could have held for a little bit more. Now they're going for 170. But don't want to give out. Don't want to miss out on my chance of profits because that could easily reverse back to 325. These contracts would be back down to like 135 a piece, and would have missed out on that extra $30 each. So I'll take what I can get. How low can you go? SPY game today. My guess, SPY might go back down to Friday's lows. I think that the University of Michigan report and this New York Fed manufacturing report have very similar kind of taste to them as to how the markets will respond to it. So I wouldn't be too surprised if we're back down to 409.07, which was Friday's close sometime by the end of the day. And then who knows? At the end of the day, it'll probably recover back to where it's positive or negative 0.1%, as it usually does. Any pop in volatility usually gets sold off. So VIX is up 5% today, 6% almost. I would expect that to be probably down by the end of the day to, I don't know, 1750. In typical fashion for this market. Good morning. Couldn't make it to open. What's the early price action doing? So far, we're bearish. QQQ down 0.1%, SPY down 0.15%. You're looking at super weak RSI for SPY, currently at 17. For QQQ, you're looking at 32 RSI, so a little bit oversold, not very much compared to SPY. And this comes after a pretty decent pre-market rally right before the Fed manufacturing report for the New York Fed came in much worse than expectations. Negative 31 versus negative 3 expected, down from positive 10 last month. So very similar to reaction to what we saw for the University of Michigan report on Friday of last week is what I'm thinking. So probably going to spend today below 413.50 as we usually do on SPY, which is, 250 up. So that's pretty reasonable to expect. Yesterday's close was 411.69 or 411.59. I think we might be pretty close to that price level by the end of the day. But I think in the meantime, with this super bearish RSI at 24, we'll probably head closer to 409 sometime by midday, and then probably have a midday recovery or late day recovery back to 411.59 or so. All right. QQQ is getting back close to break even at 325. Currently at 324.85. We could re-enter these contracts for the 325 puts, or for SPY we could look into 411 puts. QQQ looks a little bit better in terms of this candle structure, and well, I guess the resistance are pretty much the same. Yesterday's close was 411.59 for SPY, which is another 40 cents, 0.1%, and then for QQQ about 0.1% as well. So let's see. Let's check the difference between them. For the puts, 325. For QQQ, oh, no, we lost it. $325 puts for QQQ versus the 411 puts for SPY. All right, they're about the same price, 95 cents for SPY, $1 for QQQ. Assuming either of these go back to their lows, I think SPY actually has a little bit more room to sell. And the RSI is looking better, a lot weaker, I should say. So I think I'm going to go with the 411 puts for SPY. Looking to buy SPY 411 puts. Right now going for 95 each. The risk isn't looking great here. You're paying 93. The lowest that they've gone this morning was 50 cents at the open. We were trading just above the 412 level. I probably want to cut losses at about maybe 70 cents, and now they're going for 86. So I think I'll wait on this just a tad here. The highest that these contracts went for was 102. So if we're just trading in a range back down to the lows and we end up bouncing on that, the most we can get for these contracts is like 10 cents a profit, 12 cents a profit each. So I'll wait on it to give me a little bit more potential upside here. QQQ is actually more negative than SPY now. Interesting. Okay. So QQQ at 30.7 for RSI. SPY, on the other hand, at 22. All right, the lowest that these contracts got in this past 10 minutes was 86 each. Now they're going for 99. So if you do break that range, these are going to go for like 107 and above, probably like 110. If we slip below 410.8, so about 10 cents down. How do you choose the right strike price for options? I usually, with the 0 data expirations that I'm used to trading, I'm usually choosing the closest strike price. So for SPY right now, it's trading at 410.88. The closest strike price would be 411. And then calls or puts just based on the price action. You're looking at relative strength. It's very weak right now, so that means we're more likely to continue selling off with RSI at 20 currently. Yep, there it goes, 410.60. So now these contracts are going for 120. So should have got those contracts at 92, but I felt like the price for them was a bit too high compared to what they could drop to, like 70, 80 cents. So didn't want to take that risk. Now QQQ is down to 324, so that one's actually headed down much quicker in this last 5 minutes than for SPY. 410.50 for SPY right now. Very bearish RSI at about 18. QQQ really getting sold off in this past 5 minutes, down to 324 at 30, just below 20, or sorry, just below 30 RSI. The puts that I sold for 165 are going for 215 now, so that could have been a lot more. That actually did reach my price target of 2, which would have been nice, but still got my 180 profits. I'll take that. Dow is actually leading the negative today, negative 0.4%. IWM still slightly in the positive. I think the regional banks are doing okay today. Yeah, regional bank ETF KRE is currently up by 2%, with Western Alliance up by 5% today, and PacWest up by 7%. So decent rise in the small banks, which is probably what's keeping IWM up at the moment. 52 for RSI, so barely bullish. I would think that IWM would trade pretty flat today, given that the small banks are up and everything else is selling off. And it's about in the middle of the range that it's been in for past couple of days of trading has been 165 to 175.30. I would probably set an iron condor between 175 and maybe 172, depending on how much that pays us. IWM. The 172 put credit spread is only paying 7 cents as of right now. The call credit spread is only paying 7 cents. You only get a total of 15 cents for an iron condor today, which really isn't much at all. Not worth the capital that you're putting down for it. Bank of America to the moon once they agree to raise the debt ceiling. Yeah, they ended up pushing the debt ceiling talks back to Tuesday. Now I'm sure they'll push it back again, right up until the deadline on the 1st of June, because McCarthy and Biden just don't seem to want to talk to each other. Last time we were running this close to the debt limit, I guess it was probably just last year, but the last significant time that we got close was back in 2011, where you had obviously a Republican leading, whereas you had Obama as president, and they just kept pushing it off to the last minute. I think they were a week away from default. SPY ended up dropping by about 20%, and the reason was just kind of to pressure Washington into making a deal for the debt limit. We could have something similar happening for this time around, but I feel like this market has just been very complacent as to, trading in these ranges that we've been in for the past month really hasn't gone anywhere. Between 404 and 417 for the past month, and spending a lot of our time lately between 409 and about 414. So probably not going to be moving much outside of that until closer to the debt limit ceiling, or the debt limit deadline on the 1st. I wouldn't be opposed to buying like VIX calls for June's expiration, the mid-June expiration. But it seems like every time you do get this, little small pop in the VIX, it just gets sold off by the end of the day. So I've not really come to trust any rallies in VIX pops. Is that happening today? 4 weeks? No, they have till June 1st. And then they'll start defaulting on some of the payments. It'll be interesting to see what the bond market does. If that was the case, that would cause absolute hell for the bond market. Right now, the 10-year is at 3.5%, which is up from 3.3% just about a week ago. Just trading in the range, very similar to SPY, between 3.3 and 3.6%. Not really breaking out to either direction for the 10-year. And I think yields across the board have been basically the same. We haven't seen a ton of one-way movement, just a bunch of back and forth movement. Looks like IWM is still up 0.5% at the moment. 50 on RSI, so right in the middle between bearish and bullish. I'm thinking that it's just going to be neutral today for IWM, but let's see. And it's right at 173.50. I wish that it was different strike prices, closer to one of the strike prices that are available, but if I go closer with my strike prices and assume that we're going to be right in the middle between 173 and 174, we're getting $45 in credit, but you only have a $1 range for a 45-cent credit. That's kind of ridiculous. And the bid ask on these is like 6 cents wide too. Just because it's IWM, it doesn't have as much trading volume as Qs or SPY. So getting in and out of these, especially an iron condor, would be much more difficult. Am I in any trades right now? The only trades that I have open at the moment is a Western Alliance put that I bought last week, not doing so hot. That one's down about 200 with the Western Alliance up 6% today. Probably going to close that. Next couple of days, I'm sure that time decay is going to kill it. But I paid 300 for it. Now it's going for 65. Usually the sell-off for banks happens on Thursday, but I don't think I'm willing to wait that long for that trade. I opened a QQQ put this morning that made some money. Down to 324.09 now, and I sold it, I think, right when it was trading in this small little range right here for about 170 in profit. Probably try to open another put before I go. Let's SPY at 410.50 right now. We just got to wait for a little bit of a range and then take the short on the top of the range. That's what I usually do. And relative strength is looking in our favor. Let's see. Now we want to go with 324 for QQQ, and we could stick with the 411 puts for SPY still. But for QQQ, we want to go one strike price lower. These are going for 124. SPY's going for 122, so they're about the same price. QQQ only has about $1 to go down to its Friday lows, whereas SPY has about $1.40 to go. Not really finding a range just yet. These were down to 95 cents before that drop right there. Yeah, the lowest they got was about 95 cents, somewhere in that range. So that would be our stop loss that we would want, with potential rewards right now up to about 126, trading for 115 currently. So risk reward isn't the best at the moment. We want to get these closer to 90 than 120 or 130. Buy Meta puts. Let's see, Meta. Yeah, this one's very similar. It's at 45 for the RSI, so I'm not too convinced that it's super bearish, but you do have that range formation right now where you would probably want to open puts closer to 236.20, but you're only about 20 cents off of that, so it's not too much. All right, SPY's coming back up now. Just a little bit. They're trading at 104 each. Again, my stop loss would be about 90, I'm thinking, based on where these contracts were going before. If they get really cheap, they'd be about 80 a piece if you get a really good rally for SPY out of this oversold territory. But again, very weak price action so far this morning. About an hour into the market. All right, now they're going from 98. So maybe if we retrace half of what we lost here, they'd be going for about 125. Now they're going for 88. Okay. $0.90. It's probably the cheapest we'll get it for. Unless we really get a pop for SPY right now. All right, I'll get in at 92. There we go. In at 92. So we'll pull up those contracts right quick. Currently up by 10. And my stop loss, I'm thinking about 80 cents a piece. Still at 33 for the RSI, so still looking bearish there. All right, they're dropping to 84 cents a piece, so we may get stopped out. The last time that these were going for 80 was the open on that candle at 9:45, which I think was, 411.59 price target. Yesterday's close at break even. All right, looks like we're hitting my stop loss here. I actually got out at 81, so saved myself a little $10. So that one was 92 minus 81, 110 loss. Now it looks like we're getting closer to that 411.59 mark, which could be a better entry for these contracts. QQQ is looking a little bit weaker here at the top of this. Looking at 36 RSI for SPY versus 34 for QQQ. So QQQ is slightly more bearish. This QQQ puts at 90s, might not be too bad. It's about the average price that they've gone for the first 30 minutes. Now they're going for 101 with the highs up at 130. but it would need to come back down to 324 from 324.50 right now. Hmm. 411 put's looking a little bit better at 82 cents. Back down to 411, so we couldn't get back to break even for SPY just yet. Why is SoFi down so much? They've been having a pretty tough time with all the regional banks. I think they had earnings recently too, so that didn't help. Let's see. Yeah, a couple weeks ago, -5 cent earnings versus -8 cent. So they're still losing money. Let's see if there's any news for today. Gets a downgrade just after a buy. Wall Street is divided on the stock, so it looks like getting some price targets from Wall Street. Wedbush, I'm assuming Wedbush. Wedbush gave them an underperform rating from neutral and adjusted their price target from $5, it's at $4.50 right now, to $2.50. So that's the big news for SoFi today. What are my favorite indicators to combine for technical analysis? I usually just stick with RSI. It's the simplest one to use, just based on how the markets are trading relative. Right now you're looking below 50 RSI, so it's more bearish. And you're having, I would combine it with just using candles and watching where we have different price levels, which right now the highs are at about 411.20 for SPY for the past 10 minutes. So I would want to get in on a 411 put closer to the bottom. And these contracts were going for like 75 each. If I'm trading around earnings reports, sometimes I'll look into IV percentile, which just shows you where implied volatility is now compared to whatever time frame you're looking at. I'll check like the yearly chart, see where implied volatility is, if it's high or if it's low compared to the last year and around earnings reports, previous earnings. And I'll use that to judge whether I should open a spread option, which will mitigate IV crush and the risk of that. Or if implied volatility is extremely low, then it's better. Then you can buy regular calls, regular puts, just because the markets don't expect that huge of a move, so you don't get as much IV crush for those options. All right, we're at 41 for RSI. These contracts are going for 74 each. Just down 0.1% right now. Thinking about waiting till it gets closer to 411.59 before taking this position. But these contracts are very, very cheap. Got them for 78. Yeah, they're going for 73 right now. So they're cheap relative to the past. Let's see. 45 minutes of trading. It's the lowest that they've gotten, roughly. It's 70 cents. I think if we get back to, well, the first candle, we'll put these contracts at about 75 cents. So we've had a decent amount of time decay for these options of about 5 cents since the market opened. I'm thinking, though, that these contracts might be going for, I don't know, 60 or below if we get back to 411.59. Right now they're at 67, 66. QQQ is coming back to break even right now. All right, so we could see a reversal right at the 411.59 mark. For SPY, these contracts are going for 60. And we're trading at 46 RSI right now. So this trade's looking a little bit dodgy based on relative strength. Usually if it's at 50, I won't take the trade just because there's a lower chance of it working out. But that is a critical level that we need to pass. And if we don't pass that, then it's going to continue to trade lower. Yeah, IVP, implied volatility percentile. It's very useful for especially earnings trades. All right, yeah, so both SPY and QQQ are just basically at Friday's close levels. So for QQQ, that's 325.03. For SPY, that is 411.59. The levels you're watching out for. IWM up 0.7%, so actually still rallying after catching some supports at 50 for RSI. So this is definitely looking more bullish. As of right now, this first hour of trading is looking very bullish for IWM. QQQ and SPY just kind of trading neutral at the moment. All right, QQQ just barely went green, 0.03%. SPY right at break even for 11.51. All right, I think I'm going to open these contracts at 62 each. 63 is what it's looking like, actually. Just bought 10 SPY puts. Just bought 10 SPY 411 puts at 63. Now they're going for 64. Pulling right back off of that 411.59 mark so far. QQQ just barely hanging in red. SPY 0.05%. Right now we're at 45 for RSI. All right, let's scroll this over so we can see a little bit more. All right, so initial reaction to that 411.59 price level was a pullback. We'll see if that continues. Mm-hmm. What do I think of Square? Not a huge fan of Square stock. I used to be really big on the stock a couple of years ago. They are profitable, which is good to see. Don't really see that from a lot of fintech companies. But earnings per share is pretty low. I mean, you're doing 18-cent earnings per share to 40-cent earnings per share. So an average of probably 30 times 4. This is trading at 56 over 120. Like 50 price to earnings, which isn't exactly great. I'm not sure how much more growth potential Cash App and the Square business still has left in it. So personally, I wouldn't be a huge fan of their valuations being so high. All right, testing that 411.59 level for SPY right now. Thank you, William. All right, these are going for 56 a pop. Got them for 63. Still just below the level at 411.59 though. All right, just went above it for 11.61, so we'll see if we pull back or if we continue that rally here. QQQ just went positive 2 at 325.05. Both of them just barely positive, but positive nonetheless for the day. Right at 50 RSI, so this is right at neutral for price action. What program am I using to watch the stocks on the stream? This is Thinkorswim that I'm using for the charts. All right, back to break even. Just flipping back and forth, barely positive, barely negative. QQQ back to 325. So we went just above break even and pulled back so far. All right, I got these at 63. The best that they've done in the past 5 minutes was about 65. If they do end up selling this back into earlier's range, they would be going for about 75 each. So that could be about $100 profit or so if it does pull back again here. If we really get back to the middle of the range that we've been in for the past hour, these contracts would go for, let's see, about 80 cents a pop. I don't think I'd be willing to wait that long for them. Probably 75 to 80. That's what I'd be willing to sell them for. All right, looks like we might be getting some support at the break-even level at 411.59, but just going back and forth here. No real confirmation yet. Let's see, I chose a 411 strike price, so I should have went with a 412, I'm thinking. Would have been at least a little bit of a safer trade. We wouldn't have to lose all the extrinsic value. These are going for 96, so you would have paid an extra like 30 cents a pop for them, but I think that probably would have been worth it. Let's see, and these were going for about 120, 130. So they have a little bit more upside potential to them too. Every single 5-minute candle has been green for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 the past 35 minutes. It's definitely a decent recovery off of those lows at 410.29. The lowest on that candle was 410.32. So about $1.30 up. So nice little 0.3% recovery or so far off the lows. When you buy a put, does it mean it needs to reach the break even to start making profit? No. The break even is just based on the option expiring and the amount that you pay for the option versus your strike price. So for the 411 puts that I bought, my break even would be 411 minus the 50 or 63 cents I paid for it. So my break even is 410.37. But I don't need SPY all the way down to 410.37 to make a profit. I can sell them before the close today for any price I'd like. So if I wanted to sell them now for the 411 puts, I'd be selling them at 51 cents. So that would be a loss of 12 cents a contract. But if we do manage to go back to the middle of the range, which is what I'm anticipating, they'd be going for 80 cents a contract, and then I'd be able to take profits. So your profit and loss is just based on what you buy the contracts for and what you sell them for before the expiration. And you usually don't want to hold options into expiration. All right, looks like we're going bullish RSI 53, holding the line at 411.59 now, so I think we'll get out. For these contracts are 46. Up to 412 now. So yeah, I'd say that's a significant break and hold, hold and break above for SPY. Try to sell these for a little bit more because right now they're really pumping into SPY, making these contracts dirt cheap. Doesn't look like I'll get it though. All right, I think I'll get out at 44. I got out at 45 actually. Closed at 45. Premium. So that one for me, 63 minus 45, 180 lost since I opened 10. And we did end up getting that break above 411.59. So basically invalidated the trade, assuming that it would be below that and continue to trade in the range. Yeah, we usually don't see a V-shaped recovery first thing in the morning. Usually it's later on in the day, around like 1 or 2 p.m. But definitely looking bullish for RSI right now at 55. I don't think we'll go above 413.50 again today. Kind of thinking about taking that call credit spread I was looking at the beginning of today. SPY would have to go up another $1.50 for that, which is like 0.32%. So it'd have to be up like 0.4% today. Those contracts right now aren't paying very well They're only paying 19 cents a contract, so not worth it to me. Another likely trade, I think, would probably be a iron butterfly. Maybe assuming for 411 or 412 today. Let's see. Let's see how much it pays. Go too wide. Oops. $115 a credit for 85. Risk to assume will be for 412 today. Kind of more tempted to say that it'll be a 411. See what I can get out of that instead. 409. Oh crap. Yeah, 409 and then 413. That trade you're getting paid 128 for 75 risk. It's about 10 cents more credit for that contract. Yeah, that seems like the more likely trade to work out too. I don't know. I'm kind of thinking we're just going to be right in the middle between 411 and 412. Right at that break even at 411.59. Just because that's what the markets have been doing. Not really going up much above or below break even. Like 0.1% is usually what we end the day at, which is 40 cents in either direction. But I wouldn't want to do a $1 wide or a iron condor. That doesn't really do well. And then if you do $3 wide, 410 to 413, it's only paying 25 cents. So, not really getting much. Not much at all. Even if you do $1 wide iron condor, 411 to 412, you get paid 54 cents. So all the credits on these are pretty horrible, which is pretty typical with the little ranges that we find ourselves in with SPY. The credits on call credit spreads, put credit spreads, and iron condors are just terrible. Looks like QQQ just went back in the negative 0.04%. Pretty steep 5-minute candle there. Zoinks. Do I think we've seen the low of the day for SPY today? Let's see. For 1026, The lowest on Friday was 409.07. Yeah, I think we've probably seen the low for today on SPY. I don't think that will go much below 410 and retest 409.07 today. I think that's pretty unlikely. Just based on where the price action is right now at 47 RSI. It's right at neutral. We could have another sell-off back down to 30, but I would say that's pretty less likely, especially given that we're going into the 11 to 2 period where volume starts to slow down a ton. How would I go about trading options with a small account? I'd say credit spreads, debit spreads are probably your best friend. And then if you don't want to trade with those, switch to a cash account. And then you can do unlimited day trades with that. You have to wait for the cash to settle with each trade. So if you take a trade with $100 buying power, get $100 buying power back, you have to wait until the next day for the money to settle, for that $100 to be available back to you. Am I bullish or bearish for this week? I think we're going to be below 413.50. I think that's probably the easiest trade that I could take for the end of this week. We've spent a majority of our time for the past month below 413.50, so that's the reason I'm assuming that we're going to stay below it. Unless the only thing that I can think of might relieve the markets a little bit is if we actually do get the debt limit raised or delayed, whatever they want to do. And the meeting is supposed to be tomorrow. But my guess, they're probably going to delay it to Thursday and then Saturday and so on and so forth until probably the very last day on June 1st. Yeah, I could see lots of downside coming if there's no meeting between McCarthy and Biden tomorrow. I think that markets might start to worry a little bit more about the debt limit than they have been. Markets have been kind of just dismissing it as of lately, it seems like. But if you're looking at credit default swaps, on the other hand, U.S. credit default swaps are basically people betting on the U.S. defaulting. Those are the highest that they've been since ever, actually. The highest that they went back in 2008 was 75, and right now they're at 150 last I checked for the 1-year credit default swap. Yeah, right now they're at 150. I have to open this in a different browser because ad block. Okay, well, where the heck is the chart at? There we go. Yeah, they're trading at 150 at the moment. And the highest these have ever gone. Well, if I can find it. Back in 2008 was about 60 a piece. Gonna head out. All right, see you deep. Catch you tomorrow. All right, SPY back below that 411.59 mark again here. QQQ. Same price action, just below 325 at their break even. So both of these stocks just kind of trading flat for this past 15-20 minutes. I think that's probably what you're going to get for the rest of the day. Not sure what your range is going to be. Maybe like 410.70 to like 412.50. But I think it's going to be pretty flat for the rest of the day. I don't think we're going to get much other action. Pretty sure there's nothing special on the economic calendar today. We had Kashkari speaking at 9:15. The New York Empire Fed manufacturing index coming in way worse than expected. And then we do have a couple of Fed members. Let's see, Barkin speaking today at 12:30, but I don't think that's going to have much impact on the market. So my guess, we probably just trade flat right at around break even, maybe going up or down like 75 cents, like 0.2% in either direction. Maybe get some more volatility at like 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, but I think we're going to be pretty flat until then. These 412 puts are looking okay at 91 cents, the low at 75. They could go to about 135, but you need it sinking down to 411 or so for that to play out. Right now it's about 70 cents above that. So I don't think I'll take that one. I think that's all the trades for now, until we do get a decisive move in one direction or the other. Looking a little bit more bullish at 52 RSI, but too close to 50 to really call it certainly bullish. You'd probably want to see a close above 412 for us to start being bullish, and then the open this morning was 412.22. So if we get a decent climb above 412.22, then we might start being bullish for SPY. But I'm still thinking we're going to end the day below 413.50. So that's my analysis of my trades for today. Look at the bear flag on Tesla. Let's see. Trading at 165.36. Yeah, very steep drop for that 15 minutes. Kind of setting up pretty similar. It does have that support at about 165, but you're gonna have resistance between 165.25 and 166.20 or so, just based on the previous range. So I'd probably want to get it closer to 166.20 than getting in right now at 165.40. But yeah, that's all the trades I got until we start moving. If you want to check out the Discord, Premium Discord's linked at the top. Join with the pinned comment, and I will catch y'all at 9:30 tomorrow. See everybody.